What's happening guys, it's your boy D-Buck and welcome to my new series that I'll hopefully be doing monthly, which is Real Reviews. Today's review is going to be about none other than the new Final Fantasy 15. Now, I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan, with Final Fantasy 7 being my favourite, so I was really looking forward to getting this game since I played the open world demo that came with Final Fantasy Type 0. It's a game that people have said they've been waiting for 10 years when it first got announced under a different name, so there's a lot of expectations for this game. So a quick summary about this game: it's about one prince who's rolling with his squad, aka the Choco Bros, to link up some chick who he used to chill with when he was little for some arranged marriage, but then some madness happens and a war breaks up, and that's where your story pretty much starts. If you want a detailed backstory, I recommend watching the film they released with the game as well as the anime. So on to the gameplay mechanics. Now, this game is designed for fans of Final Fantasy series as well as new players who never played the Final Fantasy games before. The huge difference you notice is the battle system. Gone are those days of the turn-based fighting games, and if I'm being honest, the fighting system is similar to somewhat of the Batman series. You hack and slash, there's combos, there's different types of techniques, different weapons from your big sword to even guns, and there's even a parry system, again similar to the Batman series. So Square was always moving towards this style since 12, and I'm not sure what to take on it. I'm guessing old school fans will hate it, whereas new fans will think it's fantastic. What I do know is the Final Fantasy 7 remake is going to have this battle system, so it's something that you have to get used to regardless. So if you expect the game to be running around and to hear this noise, think again. Now onto the music. This is one of the biggest impacts of a Final Fantasy game, and 15 does not disappoint. The soundtrack on this game is great, and most tracks that I've heard so far is beautifully composed. I think that's one thing Final Fantasy fans look for when judging a Final Fantasy game. The town music fits perfectly with the environment, and the main theme of the game is actually great. Besides, even if you wasn't a fan of the 15 music, 15 does have music from the older games, including 6, 8, and yes, even 7, so no complaints from me in that department. Now onto the open world design and how the game actually works. This is where Final Fantasy 15 really excels at. The world designs are really impressive, and the town and scenery look amazing in some places, as well as the dungeons, which are really well designed. Everything is one big open world, so therefore you can see them huge monsters that you want to avoid at night, as well as them huge monsters who are way too high level during the day. This is by far the best looking Final Fantasy game ever. As this is a Final Fantasy game with an open world, you have the option to just play and continue with the story, or do multiple side quests. It does give you the freedom to choose what you want to do at that moment in time, but obviously the more you progress of the story, the more of the world that opens up to you. The side quests in the games involve hunting monsters like you would play Monster Hunter. Some of the monsters, I must say, are huge. Side quests also involve helping people find things as well as doing favours for them for great rewards, similar to most other games like Fallout or Witcher. The leveling up system is that you get a grid similar to the sphere grid in Final Fantasy X, where you get to choose where you want to put your ability points in. There's a number of different categories such as teamwork, stats, combat and magic. As this is a Final Fantasy game, it also has a few mini games. This includes the likes of ping pong, fishing as well as darts. Another great feature is that one of your teammates is constantly taking pictures as well, so you can save and share your great snaps that he has taken while you was playing the game. Now onto the driving, something that has never been done in Final Fantasy before. As the map is so huge, you pretty much need to drive everywhere. However, fans expecting it to be somewhat like GTA driving need to think again. It is very much linear and you have very little freedom. You can't just go start smashing into cars and drive how you want into towns. You have to drive pretty sensibly. Normally you will let one of your teammates drive the car so you can view the great scenery. The similarities to GTA though is that the car does have a radio and you can choose what you want to hear. This is where you can listen to the albums of the previous Final Fantasy games, which is great especially for the long journeys ahead. The game strongly advises you not to drive during the night as there are massive monsters which are too high level to kill, so don't expect any late night cruises, and you're also allowed to customize your car however you like it, so that is a bonus. I must admit the interaction between the 4 teammates is very good and funny. One character called Prompto is always giving witty comments and even drops Easter eggs from the previous Final Fantasy games. You also have the ability to choose how the main character replies to certain characters, and this will have some sort of effect on whatever you choose. I have this game on both PS4 and Xbox One, and the game is pretty much near the same on both consoles, but I must say it looks a little bit sharper on the PS4, but nothing too major. Now on to the negatives of the game. Side quests do get a bit tedious, and it's pretty much just hunting and getting things. It's similar to other games. You could easily say the same thing about Fallout and GTA. All the quests are too similar to each other, and there isn't a sense of uniqueness for each quest. The camera angle when battling is sometimes off-putting, especially when everything is moving so fast. When you want to warp somewhere, it's sometimes hard to lock on where you want to go, and it does take a bit of a while getting used to. Another negative is sometimes there's a drop of frames, which I'm sure they will patch in the future. It's not too often, but when it does happen you can feel it. Overall, Final Fantasy 15 does a great job in creating a joyful RPG experience. The game has a lot of Easter eggs for the older generations, where the new fans of the series, in my opinion, will like the game straight away. It's not a game that can be compared to the likes of Witcher, Fallout or GTA, because at the end of the day it is an RPG and it doesn't have the amount of freedom of those other games. The positive by far outweighs the negatives of the game, and it will have you putting hours into the game. You can easily spend over 50 hours in this game if you include all the story, side quests and dungeons, so it's definitely something that you can say is worth the money. What is most important is that the game does feel like a Final Fantasy game, and despite the new battle system and the open world. Whilst I'm not sure how it compares with the older games, but Square have definitely done a great job with this game. So let me know what you guys think of the game, guys. Did you enjoy it? What do you think about the direction that the new Final Fantasy games are headed to? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to like this video if you found it useful, and remember to hit me up on Twitter at @D_Buck. I am out, guys. Peace.